With Inazuma being launched 2.0 coming out, Genshin Impact basically getting like a expansion, there's gonna be a lot of new and returning players out there. So we're gonna be going over 15 big tips for you guys so you guys can get the most out of your gameplay. Now, if you're a very original OG player, but you stopped right away, there's gonna be a new area for you guys to explore, and we're gonna be going over it very quickly here. This is gonna be Dragon Spine. Now, very quickly, the main thing you wanna know about Dragon Spine is, if you remember the Animoculuses and the Giiculuses from the new area, there's going to be a new similar thing here, which is going to be the frost bearing tree. And as you explore it, you're going to find these things to feed to the tree, and you'll be able to get rewards from leveling up. So as you can see, you get all the way up to offering level 12, get some nice cosmetic things here. You're going to have a crown of insight to cap one of your skills off at level 10. You're going to get belay here, as well as some pulls and new recipes for you guys to be using, and some nice little MORA and other things to do. So that's gonna be tip number one there for you guys. Now, another thing that got added as well, which was brand new, if you did skip really the start of the game, didn't wait for any of this stuff to come out 1.2, there's going to be the expedition quest. I know these are the two boring things, and that's going to be it for the boring stuff. They're going to get into some hot tips for you guys. So this is going to be the new sort of like weekly quest that you guys can do here. There's one in this area in Mondstadt, and there's also one in Liliwe down here in the harbor that you guys can see. Now, these ones just really entail you going out to a certain spot, doing some certain things, maybe doing a quest here or there. And it's the reputation that you really want to care about here. And when you have big reputation ready to rock and roll, you'll be able to figure out and complete the final thing. And I thought I did this one already, but apparently I need to go do like one more thing. Big brain dead here for me. So you're gonna be able to get some wings, some cosmetic stuff. This is also where you're gonna get some of these very new cool blueprints. So do these. Like, you can get a portable waypoint. So if you find yourself going out there in certain areas, constantly farming up certain stuff, this one's gonna be a very good thing for you to go out there and pick up, which is probably why I stopped there as well. So a lot of cool stuff in that area. Now, if no one's told you this yet, or you're brand new to Genshin, there's going to be some big things you need to do in order to save resources. The two most important ones that we're gonna be talking about here is going to be your MORA as well as your Resin. So why do you need to save these up? A lot of people misuse these all the time when they first start out, and there's a big thing that you can do for a big payoff a little bit down the road if you go ahead and save some of these new things. So you're going to be getting, especially a new player, if you haven't played the game fully, you're not high AR yet, you're going to be getting a lot of fragile resin over time. And this is the main way that you're going to restore your energy in Genshin Impact. But if you blow through all of these right away, trying to farm artifacts up and stuff while you're low level, you're going to be wasting your time. So why do you want to save these up? Well, your drops for your different dungeons go up for the different talent material ascension dungeons, for the weapon ascension dungeons. All of that stuff, guys, goes up over time. As you can see, the higher AR you are, the harder the dungeons you get into, and you can start accessing some very high energy spent to reward ratio. So don't go in there and spam them all right away. You want to hold out until you're around minimum 40, probably 45 plus. You can use some of them sporadically because you want to play the game a little bit, right? But you are going to want to save onto these as long as possible. The vast majority of them, feel free to use a couple of them, but don't blow all of them right in the first week that you play, because what you're going to be getting from that is maybe you're going to have some nice stuff leveled up, but it's really not going to be that nice in the long-term grand scheme of things. And people who have heeded this advice, I did it myself, you can hoard up to 50, 60, 70, 80 of these bad boys, and then you hit AR 40, 45, maybe even longer than that if you're a real Scrooge McDuck. You can start getting guaranteed 5-star artifacts to drop, all of that good stuff. So if you are saving these, what are you going to be spending your normal resin on? So what you want to spend your normal resin on when you're playing the game, the main thing that you're looking to do, here's another big tip for you. What you're going to do, ignore the artifact dungeons. Ignore these. Ignore them. I know they look cool, right? You maybe get a 4-star, you're feeling kind of fleek, right? You're like, oh, I got the third one up, I can start farming this set. Don't do it. It's a waste of resources. It's a waste of time. The main thing that you're gonna try to farm up here is your Ascension Awakening materials for your character. So you look at the animal hypostasis, the different bosses like that, the world boss. You want to spend your Resin on that as well. Some other key things to think about after you've leveled your characters up to a decent level, and we'll touch on exactly what levels you're aiming for in a minute, there is going to be weapon ascension and talent ascension materials as well. Look for the ways to level up your character level, your ascension levels for your weapons, and your talents. Those are the big three that you're really looking at doing when you start playing the game. Now you may be saying, if I'm not farming up artifacts, what artifacts do I use? Well, you are going to get some artifact sets from those bosses that drop your weapon ascension materials. You have stuff in there like the gladiator set, the exile set. You can start getting hands on those from just farming up your ascension materials. And really, what set should you be aiming for? Are there some good sets to think about? Yeah, like the berserker set's fine for a DPS character, free crit rate, but really what you're thinking about isn't a set when you first start out. No, you're looking at the actual stats on your artifacts themselves. If you have a set together for 2 free crit rate or whatever, but you're wearing like a defense percent sans, well, just a random 5 pieces of artifacts that are all better well rolled. They have the right main stats on them. They have crit chance circlet, right elemental damage on your goblet or physical damage, right main stat on the sands, and they have some decent substat rolls as well. Those are going to far outdo any of the different set bonuses that you can get your hands on early game, so keep that in mind as well. Speaking of early game stuff, don't over level your characters and don't over level these basically temporary artifacts. So what do I mean by that? You don't need to take everything to plus 20. You don't need to level every character to level 90 right away. It's not needed. It's not necessary. So take your artifacts you've been working on, take them like plus 12, maybe plus 16 if you're feeling super spicy, those 3-star ones, those 4-star ones, but just leave them there. We're talking like early levels. You're like AR 20, 25, 30. That's fine. Now, once you have a lot of MORA, maybe you have a really well-rolled 5-star artifact that dropped for you finally. Maybe you got one from one of the quests. Go ahead. If it's rolling well, max that one out to 20. And we'll talk about the best way to maximize your resources when leveling these artifacts up. Now, for character levels, do you take everything to 90? No way at all whatsoever. So if you're early game, right, 30, 35, 40, something like that, your sub DPSs and your supports and stuff, you can take those to like level anywhere between like 60 and 70. That's kind of where you're going to want to leave them. And then you can focus on your DPS characters, get them up to like 70, 80. You don't need to take anyone to 90. That's because the amount of EXP you need to take a character from that last 10 levels from 80 to 90, it is huge. It's a huge amount of EXP, which means you're going to be using all your EXP books on just a single solitary character, and that's going to feel extremely bad for you. So you want to be able to work on your team and have it be sort of sufficient in and of itself, so you have, you know, not one character at 90. You're not Red from, you know, Pokemon trying to solo the Elite Four with the Blastoise. You want a well-rounded team, and you're going to be able to level up multiple characters, all catch them up between, you know, 30, 40, 50, instead of just taking one guy from 80 to 90. It's not needed. It's not necessary early game. Later on, you can go ahead and do that, right? Max out all your characters, that's fine. But early on, you really want to manage your resources properly, and that's going to be a big way to do so. Now, as we touched on resin allocation, there's also something else that you can keep your eyes on when you gain access to it, the Serena Teapot system. You want to work on it because eventually what you're going to be able to do, I think it's rank 6, is you can be able to buy transient resin. Now, this is going to be just like fragile resin, but has an expiration date. As you can see, this one expires in 12 days. So if you work on your housing system while you do it, right, playing the game, make sure you check in, do all the housing stuff, make sure you get it, because you want to get this free 60 resin when it becomes available. Hold it, maybe do a couple extra world bosses with it, maybe do a couple extra Talon, Ascension, Awakening, all of that stuff early on. It's going to give you a little tiny extra boost to your account if you actually have access to this transient resin. Now, one thing I want to touch on right now is the banner rework system for the 5-star weapons banner. Most players want to stay away from this stuff, but it is reworked here, and I'll show you how it works here. So now it has an optimized path here, or epitomized path apparently is what it's called. So before you pull on anything, what you want to do is click on this button and pick between which of the 2 weapons you want to try to aim for pity for. And this is how you're going to start being able to pity weapons on the weapon banner. Before it was a bad thing. You could just, you know, lose the 50-50 all the time. So say you want the Mist Splitter or Reforged, and by the way, I'm going to be going over the Mist Splitter Reforged and how good it is in comparison to other swords for all the swords characters, including Ayaka. Obviously, if you want to see that stuff, make sure you hit that sub button and come back for that one. So what you do here is you chart the course, and what you're going to do here is every time you pull a 5-star weapon that is not the one you chose, you will get a fate point. So this is going to count for any of the off-banner stuffs, right? And then also the other weapons. So if you get the Skyward, it's going to give you a fate point. If you get any other random 5-star weapons in the game, it's going to give you a fate point. But what's going to happen here is after you get 2 fate points, the next 5-star weapon that you pull will be the one that you charted the course for. So this is going to mean that you have to pull 3 5-star weapons to hit pity. It's not 2 like the character banner is, it is 3. I just wanted to get that in there, explain it for you because it's brand new to the game for returning and maybe even veteran players didn't know how this worked. That's how it works. Now, this is kind of new player information, but you can see that this banner here takes Acquaint Fates. And if you go to the shop, when you pull, you're gonna be able to buy Intertwined Fates and Acquaint Fates with either Star Glitter or Star Dust. What you want to do here is never buy the Acquaint ones, always buy the Intertwined ones, because if you buy the Acquaint ones, you have to pull on this banner. It's just random RNG. They haven't changed it yet. You can't use these Acquaint Fates for like the Ayaka banner or a weapon banner. You can't do that. It's only going to be used on this random RNG banner, and you can't pull these limited characters on that banner as of the recording of this video. Another thing to touch on here is that Elemental Mastery 1.6, if you just came back, has been buffed into the Sky, right, for Swirl, Superconduct, Overload, Electrocharge. Now it increases your damage by quite a ton, and this is going to be a very strong AoE build for all of the Anemo support characters in the game. So you have Kazuha, you have Venti, you have Sucrose. Those characters can all utilize Elemental Mastery in certain team comps very, very well. Now, as you can see, it increases my swirl damage by 456%. Back in the day, it was a fraction of that. So if you like those animal characters, check out that build, check out the guide for that video. I have as many that I can remember linked in the description, and check out all the cool stuff that you can do with Anemo now in Genshin. Well, here is the TLDR, and probably the most important tip in this video. If you want it fully explained in grand detail about how to fully utilize this to check your artifacts, I will have that linked in the description below as well. Now, this is going to be a way to really reduce the amount of MORA you spend leveling artifacts. So check this out. Say we want to level up this artifact, this one right here. If we just put in these 3 ones right here, it's going to give us +2 for these blues, and it's going to cost 7,560 MORA. What we can do instead is just do something very different, which is going to be something that we're going to be nicknaming a feeder artifact. Okay, a feeder artifact. So what you do is you take something that's +4 already, and you say, all right, let's use this to feed it instead. So you're going to get in there, and the cost is going to be severely diminished. Now we're going to get +4 in stats, right? +4 levels. That's double, and it's just about half the cost. It's only 3,780 MORA. Why is this important? It's because feeding artifacts to check your stats over and over and over, blues over and over and over, is very expensive when you get to the end of the game. So veterans out there who don't know this one is for you guys. Instead of churning through 200,000 MORA just to check all these different artifacts to see if that substat rolls correctly, it gives you that crit damage at the last minute there for the 4th roll. This one's going to help you out a ton. So what you'll be able to do is save a ton of MORA. You'll be able to throw this in there, and if your artifact doesn't hit what you want it to hit, say I'm checking something else, right? Maybe I want to check, I don't know, for instance, let's see if we can find a halfway decent one here. For instance, let's say I was going to check this flower here. It's got crit rate, energy recharge, and attack percent. If it rolls crit damage at the sub, that would be god tier. So my choices are to do what I wanted to do originally and told you guys, use a feeder artifact like this bad boy. I'll be able to spend half as much gold each time I check any given artifact, which is going to add up a ton. Say I check 10 artifacts this way, well, I'm going to be saving 70,000 MORA, right? Because we're getting twice as many levels and it's costing half as much. If I want to do +4 the other way, it's going to be costing us like 12 to 13,000 MORA. This way, I can only spend this 3.7k, and then if this one rolls bad, here's the key. If I don't like this artifact, it rolls flat defense. Well, guess what? This is my new feeder artifact. I don't have to level something else up to +4. So say I want to check another artifact, you use the one that you just leveled up that was bad, and that's just going to save you a ton of MORA over time. Double the EXP. Just get in there and feed that artifact over and over. Now, the last tip here is going to be possibly also one of the other most important tips in Genshin. Not a lot of people say this one, but here it is. I'm going to lay it out for you. There's not really any bad characters in Genshin Impact. Or some characters better at other characters, yes, but for the state of the game is, if you have a favorite pet character, you want to make them work, as long as you gear them correctly, you know how that character works, right? You've delved into the mechanics, you've watched the guide, you've got the right artifacts, you put them in the correct team, they're going to do wonders for you. There's been so many characters in Genshin that people have thought have been bad for forever. There's literally only like a couple ones left in the game that are kind of underwhelming, but even then you can make them do anything you want them to do, get you through the game. Yes, Amber, I'm talking and looking at you. Where are you at? Amber, I found her. I'm stoked for Inazuma, guys. Let me know which of these tips helped you out the most. Come back for more, subscribe, and get ready for even more content coming down the pipeline this week. There's so much to cover, and you guys have to work on this character. So if you want to see any of that stuff, you know what to do, and I'll see you in the next one.